because a lot of times we don't dig deep enough. We're just like, oh, they're so irritating. They did something I asked them not to do. They didn't listen. Yeah, they probably didn't. Honestly, like children just aren't going to listen. They're always going to challenge boundaries. They're literally trying to figure out life just like you are every single day, but on a much smaller scale. They're like, what little things can I do to push your buttons? What little things can I do to get away with this? You've already done it. You've already had your time with your parents. they're coming back and they're doing it to you. Hello, hello, and welcome to the channel. I am so glad to have you here. With this video, I actually just want to dive straight into it because on my channel, I talk about a lot of personal development, a lot of inner work, a lot of spirituality, and I have a podcast called the Elevated Women's Club, but I think I'm just going to upload this as a regular video because I'm going to do things a little differently today, and it's going to be a bit of a chit chat. I have a story to share, and I have some notes that I'm going to be looking at and wanting to go through because this is for all of my women, all of my beautiful, gorgeous women that are already mothers. This is for all of my beautiful, gorgeous women that want to become mothers. This is for any woman that's coming up through the ranks that thinks that they want to be a mother in the future. And let me be the first to tell you that motherhood is beautiful. It honestly is. But when I also tell you that it is one of the most challenging things that you will ever do on the face of this planet, it is also that. It really, really is. And not challenging in the way that you would think. Like the children are challenging you, they're quote unquote bad, they don't listen, they don't think, they don't, whatever the adjective is that people put out into society about children. I honestly don't agree with it. Children are learning. They are constantly evolving, growing, thinking just like we do every single day. We have not arrived. We have not learned all there is to learn about life. We have not done it all and seen it all. They know even less. Yes, so you think that you're supposed to be the one that has all the answers. Don't put that pressure on yourself. We're going to talk about that. But there is so much beauty to motherhood, but there's also so much inner work that needs to happen. That's why when I say you have not arrived, you never will. You never will. Your journey is never finished until you die, until God calls you home. Okay? So when you have children, it is not going to be easy. It will be fun. It will be funny at times. And sometimes, some days, it will seem easy. And those are the days you're just going to hold on to and appreciate the absolute most. But other days, they will hit you with a challenge, period. Okay. And I am just getting into my motherhood journey, right? I have a 4.5-year-old and an 18-month-old. They're almost exactly 3 years apart. That's a whole nother story. But I am just getting into it. I know. But I am realizing things already that I need to be focusing on in order to correct behaviors, not just in them, but with myself before they get older. And this video is for you if you come from a background that may have some trauma associated with it throughout childhood. If you have been mentally, physically, verbally, emotionally, psychologically abused, then this is the video for you because we have things that are going to show up in our parenting that we're likely not going to always be happy with. And if this has not happened to you, I still encourage you to stick around because there's always something you can learn. But people who have gone through something in their childhood, they usually don't have a strong foundation to build on. And it's like the old adage says, you're building on a house of sand, right? And as opposed to building on something that's a strong foundation, it's very difficult for you to build on something that has cracks in it, that is weak, that isn't solid because you've gone through something and you're likely looking at yourself like, oh yeah, I'm way better than my mom. I'm way better than my dad. I let my child tell me what's on their mind. They give me a piece of their mind. I give it right back, but not in a abusive way. Sure, but there are still things to heal. Still, I'm sure that you are way better than what you were raised. I'm sure that you have a better relationship with your child than what you had with your parents. I'm sure that you're doing everything in your power to treat them better than you were treated. And that is so commendable. So commendable. And I have to say that when I think about my childhood, I'm on that end of the spectrum that did have quite a bit of toxicity, abuse, in many different forms. And I had to do so much unlearning, so much, because I will tell you, and I'm sure many of us know, unlearning is likely more difficult than learning. We are all very smart, bright, capable people, chances are, especially if you're listening to something that's supposed to help your life and better you as a person. I know you ladies are incredible. Y'all are always learning, always improving, always challenging yourself, always growing. But when you think of unlearning a behavior, it's a lot more difficult because you have had that belief, you've had that ingrained nature for so long that you've been holding on to that you likely don't even know it's there, right? Like you probably sometimes came from a house of yelling, and you likely don't yell at your kids often, but sometimes you do, and you're like, that's the only way to get their attention. Let me tell you, that was my initial thought before I had my daughter. That was my initial thought. I was like, I'm only going to raise my voice when it's absolutely necessary. And I'm thinking to myself, because I'm about to share a story with a real experience that just happened to me last week. I'm about to share that experience because when I thought about it, I'm like, why? Why is that a belief of mine? Just because it's better than the belief I was raised with, that doesn't make it right, right? And so maybe there are chances that you have to yell, for example, at your children. If they're doing something unsafe, you got to get their attention quick. Absolutely. Got to do it. But there's other times where you're overstimulated, where you're stressed out, where you're in survival mode, where you're mad about something and now you've taken it out on them. Those also happen. And those are the things that we're going to talk about that we need to be more aware of than the behavior itself. Like what leads up to the behavior that's coming from you that is now projecting onto your children. So for me, I will say we have had some crazy weather. I live in Texas and we're not used to snow. We don't know what that is. We don't want to know. No, I'm just kidding. It was fine. This was a light, fluffy, lovely snow that we got about 3 or 4 inches of. And it wasn't like the freeze that we had a few years ago, which was, we're not even going to talk about it. So yeah, when things happen in Texas, we get hurricanes, tornadoes, freezes, ice. It's just never ending sometimes with this insane weather. So anyway, with that, still, Texas cannot operate. We cannot operate with a snowflake. We cannot operate with a single snowflake. So they shut the entire city down, pretty much, where I live. And with that, I wasn't prepared for it. Like, I don't know why, but I knew it was coming. But I was like, oh, it'll be over in a day or two. Okay, 4 days later, they've shut all the daycares down. I luckily or unluckily, however you look at it, work from home. But my husband, he, stayed home and because he couldn't go anywhere either. And so we try to tackle my insane schedule, mind you, and we're going to talk about it. I did this to myself, and I'm going to share this story with you because I know so many of us do this all the time, especially as women. We're trying to juggle all the balls, wear all the hats, and we just do too much. So I was trying to work because I have a full-time job. I'm trying to write because I have a side hustle. I'm trying to work on my business that I'm building. I'm trying to release content consistently on top of trying to work out consistently and then take care of my family, which is priority number one. And then I am in church. I'm trying to join this church group, and it's kind of, demanding some things of me that I was prepared at the time. I just was not prepared for it with this random snowstorm that came. So again, I love my children. I am so involved in their lives. They're 4 and 1. Like I'm like cherishing or trying to cherish every moment I have with them. But for me, I put a lot on myself. I put a lot on myself to try to entertain them, try to cook all the time for them. That way they have healthy meals and things. Same for my husband. I try to spend a lot of quality time because that's my second most preferred love language, like acts of service, which I'm a big acts of service girly. So I'm always trying to do as much as I can for people I love. And I also love spending time. I love spending time with people that I love. But that is too much. It was too much for me to wake up at 4:30, 5 o'clock, to read my Bible, to cook breakfast, to take care of the girls, to try to work, to join meetings, come off of work, cook for them, join my church group, and call some friends back that I needed to call, to write when they went to bed, to make my content when they went to bed, to try to take care of myself. And I took a bath a couple nights, but I also was like, okay, I need to be doing something because I gotta, wake up early and get my workout in. I have to finish a couple little things. Like it just threw everything off, and I didn't even realize how overwhelmed I was getting. But when I tell you God is so good, my main mission, or has been honestly for over a year now, has been from God, and I'm asking him every single day, every day, to give me more wisdom. I'm like, give me more wisdom, God. And I know that comes with challenges. I've already journaled about it endlessly. Like I've filled up at least 4 or 5 of these notebooks, and I'm about to finish this one. And I have gotten so many revelations from reading the Bible, so many revelations from sitting, talking, meditating, praying to him. It's been incredible. But I wasn't realizing at that time that I was wearing myself very thin. Just over the span of 5 days. Just over the span of 5 days. I was doing too much because, new year, right? New us. We're trying to do all the things. I have now like 10 habits also that I'm trying to do during the day. It's a lot. I know. So I did this to myself. But on the 5th day, the last day, I was making breakfast. I had made breakfast for the kids. I had made breakfast for my husband. It's going on 9:30. I have not done any work. They're running around. I'm trying to corral them. They're going stir crazy. I'm going stir crazy. I haven't eaten. I'm hangry. And I told my daughter, because she had been coming out of her room a lot, not really listening, my oldest daughter. And I'm like, please just stay in your room so I can get some work done. Play with your sister. I cannot be with you right now. She said, okay, and went in her room. Not even 2 minutes later, I hear this giant like crash in the hallway. And I'm like, what did I tell you? And I'm raising my voice and I'm yelling. That is not me. Mind you, I do not yell at them. I don't. And I don't pride myself on it. I'm just like, I haven't had to because they really are good kids. Personally, that's just how I feel. So I immediately was like, what is that? And it was my husband. My husband came down the stairs. He dropped something. And I was immediately in like anger mode. And I felt so embarrassed. I felt so bad. And he's like, it's me. And I was like, oh my God, I thought that was my kids. And I was about to yell at them for no reason. My daughter would have been like, what is wrong with you? And I would have hurt her feelings, chances are. Like, she is a very sensitive girl, my little Cancer, right? So she is the best. But I was like, why am I so upset? And I had to sit with myself and ask myself that. I'm like, what would trigger me? Because I was hungry? I was like, no, I'm like, I got plenty of food in me. And like, it's not like I miss a meal. Like anything's going to happen to me. I'm worried about work. I mean, my work's very flexible. They always work with me. Why would I yell? Why would that put me on edge so much? And a lot of people were going to be like, oh, it's just because you spent 5 days with your kids and they're really irritating. But no, not for me. And I don't think it is for you too. So again, when I ask God for wisdom, I gained so many insights from that one little reaction that I had that I was like, oh, I need to write about this because that's just how I get all of my thoughts and ideas down. I have to write it out, and I start coming up with things that I never even thought were a cause. And I'm going to share them with you because I want us to grow as people. I want us to especially grow as mothers, because if you're not changing and transforming and healing yourself, chances are you won't be showing up as the person that you want to show up as a mother. You have to work on yourself. Parenting is about you. Like these kids, they're going to have to figure it out, but they're also going to get a lot of their traits, habits, and decision making. Maybe not a lot, but some will come from you. And chances are, if you're not exhibiting the good traits and the good habits, like yelling or cursing or talking about people, gossiping, listening to music that may not be appropriate for children, like I've seen a lot of things, right? But chances are they may take some of those habits. And I'm not judging. I'm just saying, is that the way that you want to show up? I know for me, it's not. It's just not. I don't want to be known as the mom that yells at their children because they're frustrated or they're probably mad at something else that had nothing to do with them. And that's difficult for me to admit because a lot of times we don't dig deep enough. We're just like, oh, they're so irritating. They did something I asked them not to do. They didn't listen. Yeah, they probably didn't. Honestly, like children just aren't going to listen. They're always going to challenge boundaries. They're literally trying to figure out life just like you are every single day, but on a much smaller scale. They're like, what little things can I do to push your buttons? What little things can I do to get away with this? You've already done it. You've already had your time with your parents. they're coming back and they're doing it to you. They're doing it to me. Okay. So when that happens, how are we going to show up as the adults in the situation and work on ourselves enough to not let every little thing trigger us, not let every little thing turn into a screaming, yelling, knockout, drag out, not let every little nitpicky thing, or not wanting to control every little thing? How do we show up as that person? And I feel like God rebuked me in that moment because first off, he saved me. Like I didn't want to yell at my kids. My poor husband, like he knows I can be a little crazy sometimes, right? But I was still like, oh my God, I've been working on myself so much. Like I don't yell. Like he's probably like, who is this? Luckily, my husband is so strong. And God had me unleash whatever that was building up inside me on him as opposed to my kids. So I am so grateful for that. And another analogy I want to make to that, when these eruptions happen that you're like, oh my God, who is this? Like, where did that come from? I listened to another creator online. Her name's Alexis. So she is a feminine energy and inner work coach. She is incredible. I listen to pretty much all of her content. She has really reignited my feminine energy and my creativity. And she puts everything in simple, easy to understand ways. So she alludes things like that happening, like these eruptions and these outbursts and like this kind of self-sabotage, as a rubber band. So when you have a rubber band, like a hair tie or a rubber band, when you stretch it, right? Like your first time, it's really tight. Second time you tie it around your hair, it's more loose, right? And third, fourth, fifth time, it gets looser and looser and looser until eventually one day you tie it around your hair and it snaps. Every girl knows this, okay? But that is what's happening with us. When we have these eruptions and we take and take and take and bury, and we don't even realize that it's happening sometimes, because I know that was me. I thought I was juggling all the balls, wearing all the hats. I thought I was killing it. And then I was like, oh, wow, I'm pretty stressed out. So my rubber band in that moment snapped, and I snapped with it. And it was not someone that I want to show up as. So the only way to get around that is to do the inner work and to dive into why you snapped in that moment, to why that triggered you, to why you're feeling these big emotions. And I wrote down so many things that I think are going to help, but I'm only going to touch on a few for the sake of time. So the first lesson that I learned was that, again, I'm putting too much on my plate. When I told you that I had 10 different daily habits, I'm trying to work out, I'm trying to write, I'm trying to take care of my family, I'm trying to cook, I'm trying to work and meet the needs of my business. It's too much. I had too much on my plate. It had nothing to do with them. No one told me to wake up at 4:30 in the morning and work out, to go to bed at around 10. So I'm not getting my full 8 hours. No one told me that, because I also, like normal human beings, I take a little while to fall asleep. And no one told me to do any of these things and to work on my writing and my business late at night, and to, sacrifice some time with my husband and just not chill out when the snow day hit, because I'm running around with the kids all day. I have too much on my plate. So God was telling me that I saved you this time from yelling at your kids, but next time I may not, and that may have an impact on them. Likely one time yelling shouldn't have that big of an impact, but it's just the fact that I don't want to show up as that person. I don't want to get so stressed out that I don't even know I'm stressed out, that I put so much on my plate until one day I just snap on a friend, snap on my husband, snap on my boss. Like nobody wants that, or snap on anyone. No one wants that. So he was like, I want you to realize that you're doing too much. You need to slow down. You have too much on your plate. You're carrying a weight that you cannot carry, as opposed to giving it to me and just relaxing for 5 days and knowing that everything else will be taken care of. I didn't do that. So I'm encouraging that if this is you find yourself snapping a lot or yelling or, I don't know, getting frustrated, look at your plate. Look at the weights that you are carrying, the things that you don't tell anyone about, but you want everybody to just realize that you do. They can't see it. So what you need to do is offload that. You need to give it to God or whoever your higher power is, and you need to let it go because it's not serving you. Okay, sis. So that was my first message. And my second one was that I was putting too much pressure on myself. How often do we do that? Never, I'm sure. I'm joking, right? Because we are creatures that, especially women, I love you, ladies. You are the most incredible beings. When I tell you that I am so proud of the women that are in my life and that I just see on a daily basis, even at my boxing gym that I go to, it's just funny to me because usually, especially like today, we had a really hard core workout and there was 3 guys and there were 3 girls. Who do you think was left at the end of that workout and finished it? All the men left. They couldn't handle it. All the women, they stayed. And I'm sorry if you're a man watching this. I'm just sorry because I think that motherhood and learning more about yourself is critical, but we are just so strong. We are just so strong. So again, when you think about the pressure that you put on yourself, you're already strong, sis. You already got it. You are already so strong. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. We already know. Okay. But remove the pressure. God is not giving you all of this to put pressure on you. He is setting you up for what is intended for you, but there's no pressure associated with it. You've put the pressure on yourself. I put the pressure on myself to show up at work. I should have just took those 3 days off. My work does not care. Honestly, I hardly got anything done. So it's like I would have just saved myself time, headache, and wasting their time. And that way I could just focus on my kids and not be frustrated and just maybe focus on my business or maybe just take my butt to bed earlier. Like remove the pressure, because at the end of the day, I'm acting like 5 days is really going to impact the trajectory of my life. No. Side note, I got a message from God many months ago now that I have to fix my family. He said, do not worry. You know what to do. You are strong. I was like, all right, God, well, I'm giving it to you because I sure don't know what to do. I have never been a mother. I've never been a mother. I'll talk more about this in other videos, but I never wanted to be a mother because of the way I was raised. I never thought I was going to have kids. God laughed and gave me my daughter. We weren't planning on having her, okay? But guess what? That is the best thing that's ever happened to me. We were not planning on having her, but she was literally the best thing that ever happened to me because now I get to work on building her into this magnificent woman on top of my second daughter, and I can work on becoming a magnificent woman myself and show up for her and myself in the way that I was not showed up for. So it's not about pressure. It's about working on becoming the person that you want to be. So in my case, God told me to fix my family. Okay, maybe I take 3 days off for work. Maybe I don't try to work on my business right now because it doesn't need to be worked on. I'm probably not even being very productive. Maybe I just need to go take a bath. Maybe I don't even need to work out every day like I've been working out for the last couple months. Like maybe I just need to chill. Remove the pressure. Nobody put this pressure on me but myself. Like that's all me, and I can own that. And then another thing I had that came up is that I am still operating, and this is a little bit of a side tangent, but not really, because I know somebody needs to hear this, but I'm still operating from a place of lack and scarcity. And that was in the sense of another reason I was frustrating that morning is because I made breakfast for my family who did not ask me to make them breakfast that morning. Mind you, I did it for myself, right? And I told you it was 9:30 before I even got to eat because I was making it for everyone else. And then I was like, okay, I'll make my breakfast now. Now that everybody else is taken care of, now I'll take care of me. That's probably not the best way to do that. And I'm going to tell you, ladies, you eat first because sometimes you will get hangry. But another thing that set me off is that I made all this food for them that they didn't ask, but then they ate a few bites and they're like, I'm done. I'm like, they usually don't do that. They usually eat just about everything I cook, but they have, I guess, had it with me at the last day. And they were like, we're not eating this. I'm like, as a mom, I'm like, well, dang, I just spent an hour trying to make breakfast for everybody. So I was already like, wow, okay. So that did not help. But what set me off is that I was operating from a place of lack and scarcity because I was raised in a family that was like, you need to finish your food on your plate. If you put it on your plate, you're going to eat it. So I do this all the time. I act like I need to save every piece of food that I order or have on my plate. I need to save it. If I don't eat it, it's going to be leftovers. Sometimes I eat it and sometimes I don't. But I like to create this image like I don't like to waste food. And God's trying to tell me like, girl, you have more than enough food in that refrigerator. Have I ever let you run out of food? No. Just like the children of Israel when they were going to the promised land and God said, I will deliver manna from heaven down to you every day. Do not hoard it. Get rid of it, throw it away, and I will give you more. That is increasing your trust in the Lord. Some of the Israelites try to hoard it. What happened the next day? It had maggots in it. God does not play when it comes to his trust. He said, you're either going to trust me or I'm going to make you trust me. Okay, so these are where these hard critical lessons are coming at. So I'm thinking, because I'm still operating in that lack and scarcity mindset when I was growing up and I had to find food and, eat it. Like I definitely was not lacking in food, but if you put it on that plate, it's going to get eaten and you're going to have to go find what you're going to make that night because I'm not making it. So I was like, okay, I'm operating from that still. And that is not how my kids or how God has told me my kids are going to grow up. And chances are, if you're watching this, you have a phone, you have internet access. I'm sure you're doing pretty okay, that you don't have to operate from a place of lack and scarcity anymore and be worried that your kids are going to run out of food or something's going to happen, because the trust in God, it has to be there, and he will continue to provide for you as long as you continue to trust him. So that was another big message that I wasn't even anticipating, but I was like, why am I so upset? Oh, one of the factors is that they didn't finish the food that I spent an hour cooking. Who cares? They're kids. They're trying to figure out what they like and what they don't like. They're trying to push boundaries. They're trying to go play. Just throw it away. Just throw it away. God is going to give more food to you and to your children. It is not your responsibility to micromanage every little piece of food that they put in their mouth. God told me I need to start cooking for my family. That's where my duty's in. I have to trust that he's going to take care and nourish their bodies. And all I have to do is worry about creating the recipes that are going to do that. They will eat when they're hungry. Chances are they just weren't even hungry. I've been feeding them nonstop for 5 days. Like, all of this was just boiling. And I was like, why aren't they eating this food? I can't believe I spent all this time cooking it and now it's going to waste. Let it go. Let it go. I'm talking to myself. I'm just saying, if that aggravates you too, please just let it go. I'm telling you, release it, because you can't handle that. Just let it go. Give it to God. He will nourish you and your children's bodies. All you have to do is worry about creating the food. Using the currency and the resources that God gives you in a better way is all you got to worry about. God will take care of how your children decide to eat, when they want to eat, how they want to eat, what they want to eat, what they're going to put in their bodies. You have no control over that anyway. You have minimal control, I will say. So stop living in the lack and scarcity mindset, because I'm telling you, it's going to be hard to get yourself out of that, because that's going to be a continual battle I have to face, because I just realized this last week. So we got some work to do. And I'm glad that you ladies are on this journey with me. The fourth lesson is that, again, we've already kind of talked about this, but the yelling is deeper. I broke my rubber band. I became a little crazy, right? And we all have those moments as moms. So I'm not telling myself that this won't happen in the future, and I'm not telling you that it won't happen, because you will. You are human. You're just going to do the best you can. Sometimes you're going to yell. Sometimes you're not. Sometimes everything's going to work out. Sometimes you're going to have to get a little sturdy with the kids, okay? It's just going to happen. But yelling is usually, or whatever other form that you're using of discipline for your children, it's usually something deeper. And it's not deeper with your children all the time. Sometimes somebody could have cut you off in traffic and now you're still pissed about it. Sometimes your boss could have said something that irritated you, or a coworker, and now you're upset. Sometimes you could be having a problem in your business and you're just not ready to receive that yet. Oh, sorry. You are not ready to kind of listen to that, receive it, and you're just like, look, I can't do this right now. I'm overwhelmed. I'm frustrated, but now I have to go home. I have to cook. I have to take care of these kids. And they said something to me and it just threw me over the edge. Yes, that happens. But think of the deeper meaning. Just think back to the day. Think back, even if it's further, like, what are you really upset about? Chances are it's not the kids. Yeah, they're small. Yeah, they're probably annoying at times. Yeah, they do things to push your buttons. Absolutely. But you are a full-grown adult and you are capable of self-control. Not every child is. They're just not. And they're going to do things that annoy you and piss you off and push your buttons. And it's how you react to it as the adult and as the woman of God and as the woman, whatever your faith is, as just a woman in general. How are you going to show up, and who are you going to be today? Are you going to address it in a calm manner that's going to allow you to have a conversation with them, maybe even pray with them, pray over them? Or are you going to react? You're going to trade in your long-term opportunity for a better relationship with your child for a short-term opportunity that is likely just going to make everybody's lives more miserable. What are you going to do? Let's start looking at the long-term effects and ramifications, because chances are you did not like being yelled at. You did not like for your parents to say things to you. You did not like for negativity to be spewed all over you. So don't do it to your kids, or just think about how it felt when that was done to you. And you wouldn't want anyone doing that to you now. So who are you showing up as every day? Because that really will spill over into your family. I'm telling you, you cannot go to work and be one person. You can't go to the club on the weekend and be another person. You can't come home to your kids and be another person. It's not going to work. You're not congruent. You have too much going on. You're too many different people at one time, and it's not going to work. And your kids will see through that, because they are just little mirrors and reflections of us. Okay, they will bring it out. But you just don't want to show up like that anymore. But think of what the deeper meaning is, because a lot of times yelling is the breaking point. There's a lot of things, a lot of little things, some big things that led up to that. So we got to dive deeper. And that's where the inner work comes, which I do have a guide that I will link down below. It's free. It will help you if you have any emotional blocks, any issues with accessing that healing space that you need to start operating from. And I tell you, I use this thing off and on all the time, but I like to journal so much, and I know what to journal about because I know how to do this now. But if you're starting your journey and you need help with this, I highly suggest you access the guide in the description below, because it is going to help you so much access that level of healing. That way you can show up better for yourself and your children, your husband, your families, whoever. Okay. And the last thing I got, the last message from God as I wrap this up, is that you are capable of a lot of things, a lot of really big things, but you're not capable of doing it without God. And honestly, I felt that. And I was trying to still, after all this time, after all this work God has done with me, I'm still trying to do little things in my own power. And I see where that gets me. It does not get me anywhere good. God's like, you still got some work to do, sis. Okay. And I was like, thank you, God. Thank you for bringing me back down to earth and saying, okay, you're doing too much. I need you to come back with me. I need you to spend some time with me. I need you to think. I need you to journal. I need you to show up better for these children and for yourself than you were showed up for, period. You're capable of it. You're just not capable of doing it without me. And I said, all right, God, that is the wisdom. That is the wisdom. When you can rely on God or whoever your spiritual figure is, more than you rely on yourself, you will start to gain this wisdom. I promise you, it has to happen. It has no other choice. When you go and seek messages out in the word of the Lord and you talk to him and you ask him these questions, and then one day you wake up and realize like, oh, I have some work to do. Like that is the work. That is the wisdom. And I thought that I didn't have any work to do. Well, no, that's not true. That was before I started my inner work journey when I was healing, because my ego was so big that I couldn't even receive messages like I'm giving to you now. I couldn't get on a camera and tell people that I have work to do too. I would never have admitted that more than 5 years ago. Never. I would have never done this. And it's because a lot of times we have all these emotional blocks and we put ourselves on these pedestals and we go through the experiences of life and we're like, this person did this to me, this person did that to me, as opposed to ever looking inward like, okay, they might have done that, but like, how did I handle it? How did I react to it? How did I show up? How am I projecting that now onto someone else? That is a hard pill to swallow. But you are capable, and I mean capable, of doing it and showing up better for yourself, because this is where the emotional intelligence and the self-awareness come into play. When you start having these experiences and you can say, oh, I need to check myself. I need to check myself. That was not all my kids. That was not all my kids. You are the person who is working on themselves. You are the adult. And I had to get really real with myself. Like, you can't be that mad at a 4-year-old over what? Dropping something? No. Like, they're going to drop things. They're going to drop their bodies. Like, they're just not coordinated. I'm barely coordinated. You have to dive deeper. And only way that I have found that you can do this is through God and inner work. That's it. Those are my sources of truth for everything I do. Is God's word, me meditating, me praying, me asking him for help, and the word and inner work that I create based on my findings, my wisdom, my knowledge, his teachings to me, and me diving deep and saying, okay, like, yeah, I got some things to work on, and being vulnerable enough to even share those things. Because I talk to my husband sometimes, I talk to my sister, like those are my confidants. And I know one day that I will talk to my daughters. And I hope that we get that time to start celebrating the inner work shifts that we have together and the growth opportunities and processing our emotions, because I already do this with my children, and honestly, it works light years. Like, we have conversations after they've had a meltdown, period. Not maybe the 1-year-old, she's coming up through the ranks, but the 4-year-old, she's capable of telling me about her feelings, which is something my parents would have never asked. Feelings. They don't care about my feelings. So the fact that I'm trying to understand hers, I'm trying to sense where she's coming from, and that heals me too. I'm telling you, ladies, you will be healed through this experience if you just take a little extra time, just a little bit, to understand more about where your children are coming from, and then also more about what is setting you off. Also acknowledging all the great things you do. So I don't want this to just be a strong parenting and teaching moment. Acknowledge that you do so many great things. Like, you are their mother. I know you're incredible. Everything that you do for them, remind them of that. That's okay too. I had another realization that I'm probably going to talk about on another video, but my daughter likes to ask for things, ask me to do things for her. And she's like, why not? Why can't we do that? I'm like, and I have to explain to her, mommy can't because I'm either busy, I don't feel like it, I'm tired, I've done this for you, I did that. Like, just talk to him, have that conversation. And it doesn't have to be rude and it doesn't have to be mean. Just say, like, mommy is not capable of doing it all, because you're not, sis. And that's what you have to realize. The last thing is, you're capable of doing a lot, but you're not capable of doing it all. And you don't have to. As long as you rely on God and put your true faith into him, he will reveal all the answers, and everything in time will come to fruition. You will be made whole. And I hope that this video found you. I hope that it helps you. I hope that it heals you. And again, if you struggle with any inner work and you need help and any inner work shifts that you need to work on, please download my guide. It is free. And I'm creating that resource for you. I've gotten a lot of great feedback. A lot of people said that it has helped them, because I'm telling you, it has helped me and my friends and my sister, and I know that it can help other people. So don't wait, sis. Don't wait to take care of yourself and your mental health and show up as a better woman, a better parent than you already are, because you're already incredible. But I hope this message blessed you, and please let me know in the comments if any of these resonated with you, or if there's anything else that you saw in your own parenting journey that I need to talk about, that you would like me to know, that I can comment on or celebrate you with, because I want to know all the good, beautiful things that you do with your children and for your children and for yourself. All right, bye.